All right. What is up, everybody? We are live. I got the Phoenix race this weekend. So we'll start off with the paint scheme preview. Drop the link down there in the description if you want to check that out and join in as I go through them here. First on the list is going to be Ross with the Kubota Orange Days sales event. Different look for the car. Looks kind of more red on TV, but really good looking car. I like the way they sort of ghosted sort of the paint blending into the black there. Pretty good car. Menard's car for Austin Cindric. We've seen that one before. The number 3 Winchester car for Austin Dillon. Not its first time, but a pretty good camo scheme. I like camo schemes. They're always good. Same old usual for their Kyle Larson, HendrickCars.com. Consumer Cellular on the side of the Brad Keselowski car. Got the orange and blue this weekend. Another one we've seen before. Also, Justin Haley's 7 Gainbridge. Another scheme that we are familiar with. Number 8 Zone car. We've seen this one a bunch too. So far, everybody's sort of staying the course except for Ross. He's got a different one. Napa Auto Parts, basic scheme for old Chase Elliott there. Now Hybrid Light. Here we go. Different scheme here. Sort of a same color as the Raptor deal for William Byron, but they've done it in a different way. And I kind of like this one better than I've liked any Raptor cars. Hybrid Light, bright thinking for Ty Dillon, and the number 10 for Colleague. Sport Clips on the side of Denny Hamlin. We've seen that one before. 12 Worth car for Ryan Blaney this weekend. Have seen this one before, I want to say, but he doesn't run it that much, I don't think, or at least I don't pay attention to when he runs it that much, I should say, if he does. But that's a good looking car there for old Dirty Blaney. He's no longer young. Let's see. Number 16 Celsius for AJ Allmendinger. Seen that one before. Thomas. Is the English Muffins? Thomas Bakeries, I guess. But good looking car here for the 17. Both Roush cars with the blue and the orange here today. Really good looking car. Philadelphia Spreads and Creams or cream cheese or whatever on the side at the rear quarter panel to go with those Thomas bagels. So good looking car there for Chris Buescher. Fry's going to be on the hood. Fry's Supermarkets on the hood there for CB17. Tracker Boats there for Chase Briscoe. Every time I look at it, I want to say Martin Truex Jr., and I was about to say it till I just caught myself real quick. Christopher Bell, number 20 Reese's car. We've seen that scheme before. Eero here on the side for Josh Berry. Not even exactly sure what that is. I'm going to have to look that one up, but that's a really good looking car there for Josh Berry. Good looking car, 100%. So far, Josh Berry, favorite car of the Phoenix weekend that I've seen so far. 22 Hunt Brothers Pizza for Joey Logano. Lidos on the side of Bubba Wallace, all white with just a purple number, and then you got a purple stripe at the bottom, sort of ghosted in some octagons there as well. Kind of a plain scheme, but not bad at all for sure. 24 HP printers Z lineup here for William Byron and his Chevrolet. Kind of a Carolina blue that fades into a darker blue and maybe some, I don't know if that's black or dark blue on the nose of the car. And then in the back of the car, it is white. Monster, we've seen that for Riley Herbst. Cole Custer, good looking car here. I would put him at second place right now behind Josh Berry, but Cole Custer, Andy's Frozen Custard, and he's got Cold Custard on the nameplate there. So good looking car. Got the blue, the red, the yellow, the white. Good combo there. Pie Barker there for John Hunter Nemechek, off to a good start this season. The 43 car, Family Dollar, good looking Family Dollar scheme, updated, sort of familiar, but much the Family Dollar much bigger on the hood. It really pops and looks good, so they did a good job with that one. The 45 Mobile One, we saw that one. I think this is similar to the scheme Bubba Wallace ran a week or two ago, but good looking scheme nonetheless. I like the red, white, and blue Mobile this year with the black accent there. Ram Steel and Storage for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. going all green here with the Ram on the side of the car. 48, Alex Bowman and his best friends. There's dogs on the car. It is now number 1. Those are the rules. Let's see. Mighty Firebreaker. We're going with Cody Ware here. Good looking scheme. I like it. Sort of a if Ivan Iron Man Stewart ran a navy blue car, that's kind of what it reminds me of. Good looking car. 54 Monster for Ty Gibbs. Seen that one. Solomon Plumbing on the side of Ryan Priest's number 60 Ford Mustang. Sort of a reddish orange chrome number, and then the rest of the car white with a green roof. So not a bad looking scheme there either. 71 Workforce for Michael McDowell. 77 Minor on the side of Carson Josephus Hocevar, who's looking strong here today. And we're going to get into that in just a minute. 88 WeatherTech. We've seen that one. 99freeway.com. And that wraps up the paint schemes. Let's jump into the statistics and see who you want to put where for your lineup, if you want to put anybody where for your lineup. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go through the qualifying order. Starting last, going to be Catherine Legg, first female driver in the Cup Series since Danica Patrick. John Hunter Nemechek, second to last, 36 there. Then you got Cody Ware, Ty Gibbs, Noah Gragson, Alex Bowman, Daniel Suarez, and Chase Briscoe are rounding out your bottom 30. 29 through 20 going to be Shane Van Gisbergen and Ryan Priest, Todd Gilliland, Zane Smith, Ty Dillon, Ross Chastain, Cole Custer, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon, and then Brad Keselowski, your 20th place driver. Bubba Wallace going to be the 19th place man. 18th going to be Riley Herbst. 17th for Kyle Larson. 16th for AJ Allmendinger, and 15th place going to be Kyle Busch. 14 through 10 going to be Austin Cindric, Chris Buescher, Ryan Blaney, Christopher Bell, and Denny Hamlin. And your top 9 in order are going to be Tyler Reddick, Justin Haley, Michael McDowell, Chase Elliott, Eric Jones, Josh Berry, Carson Hocevar, and Joey Logano, who had the pole until the last man went out, and that last man being William Byron, your pole sitter for today's race. How will this play out into the statistics? Ryan Blaney with an average finish of 2.8 going to lead the way here as far as the last 6 races since 2022. William Byron going to be second on that list at 8.3. Ross Chastain is next at 9.2. Chris Buescher, 10.3. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson in the 11s. In the 12s are going to be Joey Logano, Chase Briscoe, and Denny Hamlin. And then Christopher Bell, Daniel Suarez, Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace, and Cole Custer going to round out your top 15 or so there. So that's your average finish. Previous winners at Phoenix 2 times for Joey Logano, 1 time for C-Bell, 1 time for Chase Briscoe, 1 time for Ross Chastain, and 1 time for Fast Willie B in the last 6 races here at Phoenix Motor Speedway. Let's go to top 10s and see who has the most top 10s, if that's something that you track. 6 for Ryan Blaney in 6 races. So a perfect 6 for 6 as far as top 10s go for Ryan Blaney. Everybody, there's a slew of people here in the 4s, including Kyle Larson, William Byron, Ross Chastain, Kevin Harvick not in the race, Chris Buescher, Tyler Reddick, Chase Briscoe, and Christopher Bell. So all of those looking like good picks. Now let's look at your lap leaders, because sometimes that tells the story as to who's going to be strong and who could possibly win this race. Joey Logano leads the way at 298. Ryan Blaney second at 266. So there you go. Penske already looking strong. And until they're proven otherwise, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you either one of those two are going to be my pick. My wild card for this race is going to be Josh Berry or Carson Hocevar. But if I had to pick one, I'm going to pick statistically Ryan Blaney to win this race. He's got the better average finish. And like I said, 6 for 6 in top 10s. He's just below Joey Logano in laps led. Kyle Larson at 216 laps led. He's the only other one in the 200s there. And then everybody else that has 100 or more is going to be Christopher Bell at 196, 190 for William Byron, Ross Chastain, 158, 114 for Chase Briscoe. And here's how I set my fantasy lineup for this weekend. In the garage, for right now, I've got Josh Berry. Then I've got in my 5th spot, Carson Hocevar, Tyler Reddick, Chris Buescher, William Byron, and then Ryan Blaney is going to be in the ace position. All right. That's the rundown for Phoenix. Got the option tire this weekend. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays into this race. And we do have a poll question. Who finishes highest of the 4? Byron, Blaney, Chastain, or Chris Buescher? Right now, 47% saying Ryan Blaney, and I don't blame you. All right. PC Gone Rogue. What's up, my friend? Good to see you on here. Enzo saying, hope everyone is having a great Sunday. I'll second that. I do hope everyone is having a great Sunday today. BB, do you think NASCAR will ever keep a hard and soft tire for all the races and just give the teams 3 to 5 sets and tell the race teams they need to use at least 3 yellow sets during each race? Says Mike, I don't know which direction this is going to go in the future. There's a lot of speculation. As to will this tire work at Phoenix? We've seen it work at some other racetracks that are more worn out. Phoenix more recently paved than some of those racetracks. Does the racetrack have to be worn out for the option tire to work? Does it have to be hot for the option tire to work? There's just so many variables. I don't know if NASCAR is to that point yet where they would mandate a tire, but it's just like at the end of the day, it's just a guess as to all that goes. But it's definitely going to play into it how the tires are managed. According to Clint Boyer, there wasn't a ton of fall off on the option tire, and there wasn't a ton of fall off on the primary tire. But Ryan Blaney said he could tell a significant difference in the option tire and the primary tire. So it's all in what you're tracking, like statistically, numbers wise, it might not be a lot of fall off, but maybe that option tire does feel a lot different to the driver. So it'll be interesting to see how that option tire plays out. And if you want to get a deep dive into the option tire and tire science, Breakhard has a good video on that. So check him out on that. It would be nice to see them do majority of races, including road courses, having option tires. I would like to see more tracks probably try the option tire. I think it would add another element to the strategy, especially with stage cautions, because then at least if you know you got to pit with everybody else, there's at least the option to take a different tire in those stage cautions. So I would like that as well. Liking your hat today, says Dale Fan. Appreciate you, Dale Fan. I got this in Phoenix, and that's why I am wearing it today. When I went to the race in 2022, the finale. Let's see. I missed the first 76 laps of the Xfinity race. ABC had a telethon. Moved NHL to WB. Couldn't watch until 6 p.m. Says Bruce Garvey. Oh, that's terrible, man. But it was a great finish. That's 100% for sure. So even though you missed the first part, you didn't miss the best part. That race to the finish was crazy, crazy. A lot to debate there too. If anybody wants to jump in on that, I'm liking the 21 scheme the best, but Willie B's looks good. Wasn't a fan of the green 22. Says Jimmy Howard. Yeah, the Hunt Brothers schemes, you either like them or you don't, for the most part. But that 21 car does look sharp. I'm gonna vote Alex Bowman for the best car because he's got the dogs on there, Friends of Alex or whatever it's called. But Josh Berry definitely a strong second. If it wasn't for dogs on the car, Josh Berry would be winning this one, hands down with the paint scheme. David McSwain, what's up, my man? And BB84 or BB48, talking about Bumblebee. Donald Camp saying, what's up, everyone? What's up, Donald? It didn't seem like they had figured out the two-tire compound yesterday all day, all the way, says Jimmy Howard. Yeah, there's definitely some mixed reviews on the tire compound, I would say, from what I saw, on the practice and then the qualifying deal. So definitely, I would say mixed reviews. NASCAR needs to do something with the truck series. I think it was best when it was mainly a short track series, says Escobar. It definitely seemed like that, but it could be, there's so many things that play into that. It could just be that they did that in the golden era of NASCAR. That's why the truck series kind of took off at that time. So it could have been anything, but it definitely, I don't know. It was also just a different era. There were more veterans. Now it seems like it's just a lot of young. There are still some veterans in the truck series. Don't get me wrong, but it just feels like overwhelmingly there's a lot more young up and coming kids. The truck series, what I thought made the truck series special was you had a great mix of veteran drivers, and then you had a bunch of young drivers trying to be better than those veterans, and they sort of earned their way that way because once that's sort of how you earned your credit. Like you were able as a young kid to beat those veterans. Now it just seems like there's a bunch of young kids running all over top of each other. And there are a handful of veterans in there. Don't get me wrong, but it just doesn't seem the same as back in the day when one of those guys beat Jack Sprague or Mike Skinner or Ron Hornaday or somebody like that in the truck series. So there's all kinds of different aspects you can look at it. And just the same thing. We're living in different times, but I'm a big short track proponent, so I would love them to run more short tracks as well. So I'm with you on that one. What's up, B? Good to see you on here. Lovey Barkley is in the house as well. What's up, Lovey? And Lovey saying hey to B. Should Phoenix have only one date, says Chris? Here's my thought process on the one date deal. With the exception of Talladega and Daytona and Charlotte, if you keep the Roval, I think all tracks should have one date, because it gives so many other tracks an opportunity to get onto the schedule. So if I had my choice of it and my pick, every track except for Daytona and Talladega, just because they're super unique, would only get one date. But that's just the way I kind of look at things as far as that goes. So from that perspective, nothing against Phoenix. I just think every track other than those mentioned, should have one date. So yeah, one date would be great for pretty much everywhere. Is Josh Berry going to drop again to the back, or do you think he actually stays up there this time? Says Enzo. Well, it's basically a Penske car, so I'm assuming he's probably going to be running similar lap times to Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney. So I think he'll be up there all day, making time. He knows how to manage tires too. This is kind of a situation that falls right into his hands. Like I would not have a problem picking him as a spoiler, and I might take him out of my garage and swap him out for a driver, maybe that I've burned too many starts on. Because I would not be scared of. I'm not scared of Josh Berry in any race because I think he's a good race car driver. But I definitely wouldn't be scared of him this race. But you never know. He has a lot of DNFs too, so it's hard. It's a hard call as far as that goes. But I think he'll be good here as long as he doesn't have get in a wreck or have a mechanical failure. So I think he'll stay up front all day. What's up, Joseph Wooten? Elise, what's up, my friend? Escobar, it's funny. We need an option tire because this car is so bad, but there needs to be a bigger fall off difference from the hard to the soft. Says Escobar. I'm with you on that, and I think that sort of plays into it. But it's going to be much hotter today, according to the forecasts. So we'll see if the sun plays into it. But if the sun has to play into it, what does that mean for the fall race? Do they need to come with a way softer tire for the fall race? Because it'll be way colder then, obviously. Elise dropping the merch link. Appreciate you there, Elise. It's funny you brought up there is too many kids in trucks. I do feel that one of the problems with NASCAR in general is there are too many kids, says Escobar. Yeah, and that's sort of a generational thing. You don't think about it when you're younger because you associate with the younger generation, and then you've got your favorites. But as you get older, you're like, man, I pulled for this guy for a long time. I got to replace him. And then there's only young kids really to replace him with, or guys that have been there for a long time, and you might have pulled against them. So it's from that angle, I feel like that plays into it a lot. As a young kid, you relate to young kids, but when you get older, you see some of the young kids, and you're like, what's this dude talking about? I'm not following what this guy's talking about. So I do feel like that plays into it as well. And then there's just other aspects to it as well. But yeah, it definitely seems like way more young kids racing than ever before. But that could be a perception thing. Definitely more than the 90s, though. I feel like the 90s, you had to be like 30 to be a rookie or something like that. Like it was compared to today, it was a crazy difference in ages compared to rookies now in the Cup Series, in the trucks, and in Xfinity, Busch Series, whatever you want to call it. If Mexico doesn't happen, where should the makeup be held, says Chris? I don't know. NASCAR is adamant that Mexico is going to happen. There obviously a lot of that talk came from the garage that it might not happen. So, and Bob Pockrass acknowledged that by saying that some of the talk was from the garage he said up to 4 weeks now. So who knows until they actually miss the date or something like that. Who knows? So I don't know, but it did. Who was it? NASCAR Rumor Nostalgia. I had the world on fire there from late night to early morning, and eventually Bob Pockrass got a hold of somebody in NASCAR and got NASCAR to say that they are adamant that the Mexico race will happen. So at NASCAR saying they're adamant it will happen. I don't know one way or the other. I don't think NASCAR would lie about something like that, but stranger things have happened. So we'll just wait and see what happens. So I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays out. Probably the Mexico race happens though if NASCAR comes out and confirms it like that. Would be my guess though. Hamlin wins this. BB says FIA, so he's got Denny Hamlin winning the race today. Not a bad pick. He does have pretty good numbers here. He is top 15 in average finish, and it's Denny Hamlin. He can win at any racetrack. I thought NASCAR's green-white checkers was stupid until I saw ARCA throws cautions on the last lap and then has a restart, says Bruce Garvey. ARCA's a wild series, and they've got a lot of young talent in there, and young talent is not patient. So you've got a lot of cautions, a lot of chaos, and a lot of mayhem in ARCA. So mayhem. I think I said mayhem. Mayhem in ARCA. That's not a Southern word. That was just me flubbing it. Mayhem in ARCA as well. Bowman going full Cena needs to happen. So let's talk about that real quick. Eric Almirola. Depending on how you look at it, Eric Almirola either used up Alex Bowman or Eric Almirola gassed up too hard and slid into Alex Bowman. Eric Almirola said he knew he was going to use him up a little bit, So I feel like Eric Almirola knew what was going to happen. So at some point, I'm with you, Elise. At some point, Alex Bowman does need to stick up for himself and get some payback here. He can't just keep letting guys run over him. And I have no problem with the move that Eric Almirola made. It was a racing move. It was the last lap. You're going for it. It wasn't super egregious, like he right hooked him and put him into the wall or anything like that. It was a racing move. He was trying to get there. It was a drag race to the finish. Good aggressive move. Was it the cleanest? Probably not, but you're going for the win. I don't have a problem with it. But if you're Alex Bowman, you got to pay it back. I don't know if you'll ever be able to pay it back on Eric Almirola because who knows how many races he's going to run in the Xfinity Series, and if Alex Bowman will be running the race that day as well. But in general, Alex Bowman needs to stop being a nice guy and pay him back. And Bumblebee agreeing, saying facts, Ellie. I want to see Hocevar continue to accept being NASCAR's resident 2007 Kyle Busch, says Elise. I think he's embraced that role quite well, and I think he will continue to do it. And the fact that he's got a lot of speed today, it would not surprise me if Carson Hocevar broke out today, this weekend, and got that first win. But we will see. We will see what happens here. I do have him in my fantasy lineup, so I am going to. I'm going to burn a start. I feel like he's got speed, and something could happen today. Or maybe somebody gets mad and pays him back today. We don't know. We'll have to see how it goes with old Josephus in the 77 there. The only way to make Phoenix cool again is to make the race be at nighttime, says Lovey Barkley. A night race would be good. If Mexico doesn't happen, it should be at Rockingham, says PC Gone Rogue. That was a pretty popular one. Road America was a pretty popular one that people would like to see. And then once again, I'd like to say NASCAR came out and confirmed, or didn't confirm, but they said we strongly, or what did they say? We're vehement that it's going to happen or something, whatever Bob Hawkins tweeted out. So I want to be clear about that. What's up, Jeremy Heath? In the future, do you deal with tires? In the future, how do you deal with tires if you only go to these tracks once a year? That's the great thing. That leaves it up to a lot of smaller teams would benefit from that, in my opinion. And then bigger teams would find a way to negate that benefit. But if you deal with the tires, the best way to deal with tires is you just deal with them that day during the one practice you get, if you get a practice. But it's just going to be a wild card and a variable. That's the deal. And to me, that's going to make for more fun racing. They just roll out the tires and you got what you got. Kind of run what you brung. That's kind of what NASCAR is going toward. So that's how you would deal with the tires. You get as many matching sets staggered up as good as you can, matched up, and I roll with them. That's how you manage tires when they just roll them out to you and you don't have any practice. I'd like to see a throwback with. Let me make sure I read that one. I'd like to see a throwback with Ross Jr.'s car at Darlington, the Budweiser King car. Missed the Budweiser Speedboat, says Jimmy Howard. Yeah, do they even? I remember speedboat racing used to be really big. I don't know if they even do it like they used to. I know it was huge in Miami for a long time. When I got into NASCAR, most of the drivers were 30 years old. I like that. I didn't pull for someone young or close to my age, says Escobar. So there you go. It's all in how you pull for it and all in your fandom. But yeah, I do feel like back in the day, until Jeff Gordon got there, I felt like every driver was like 30 to 40 for 12, or for every driver was 30 to 40 for like 20 years. And it was just a different era, different way of going about your business back then. Times are different now, so it is what it is. Let's see. Number 9 wins today, says Joseph Wooten. So he's got Chase Elliott. What's up in between the lanes? Lovey Barkley saying, what's up? Avalon Band, what's up, my friend? Always good to see you on here. Where's the dock side? I'm a Phillies fan. Winston, says Jimmy Howard. Joseph Wooten, FIA saying Chase Elliott's not going to win. So he is not. He's not saying who's going to win, but he's saying Chase Elliott won't win, according to FIA 390. Enzo saying Almirola was a racing move. We could tell what he was going to do with the run. He got off a 3, everyone but Bowman, says Enzo. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't have a problem with his move. Was it the cleanest in the world? Obviously not, because they made contact, but I don't think it was like, I'm going up here to take out Alex Bowman. But that being said, if you're Alex Bowman, you got to stick up for yourself. You can't just take that from the Alex Bowman perspective either. The one thing that flew through my mind when all that was happening was like, where's all the Eric Almirola fans that forever were hating the 3 car at the Daytona 500, because Eric Almirola just did the same thing, drove as aggressively as possible to get a win. That was the first thing that flashed through my mind. So I thought that was funny, and I was glad to see Eric win that way as well. So good for him. Young Life on the side of the car. Young Life was like a thing. Like in high school, they were like super big in high school. I hadn't seen that, God, in years. So I didn't even know they were still around. But they're on the side of his car, so they've grown and thrived since my time in high school. So good on them. Uh, in another live stream, I chose Almirola to win the Xfinity races in between the lanes. I did pick. Actually, I was talking to somebody. I got the receipt somewhere. I did pick Eric Almirola to win the race, and he did end up winning it. Although that last caution, man, if you're the 7 car, you got to be punching the air when that last caution comes out. Man, Algar. If anybody has worse luck at winning races, Algar probably has like 20 or 30 races he probably should have won, and then a checkered flag or then a yellow flag comes out and disrupts his dominant day. A lot of these kids grew up with a silver spoon in their rears, and most fans can't relate with that. It works for F1, but NASCAR is more blue collar type of fan. Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Sports car world, F1, where you got like big luxury brands and stuff like that, that kind of flies in that world. NASCAR, you sort of want to see blue collar guys come through, even though there's really not that many blue collar guys anymore. So I do feel like that is part of the deal with viewership and things like that. I feel that's a significant part of it as well. The relatability. And that's why I said if NASCAR would get these drivers out in front of people more, and they're doing a better job this year. They've got their whole thing spinning up, doing as much social media as possible. They're getting drivers in front of fans' faces so you can actually see their personality. It's just not a car on the racetrack anymore. So I feel like that is a good thing. That's going to overall bring people closer to more drivers. And they'll be able to pull for more drivers because they'll look at a guy doing something and be like, hey, this guy's got some personality. We saw Sheldon Creed grilling and giving Parker Kligerman a tomahawk steak on the broadcast today. So I thought yesterday. So I thought that was a good deal. Just little stuff like that. You never know when it's going to connect with somebody. Sheldon Creed, even though it was a promo for his sponsor, that Sheldon Creed likes to grill, and that Parker Kligerman said he's a good chef or cook or barbecue man or whatever you want to call it. What's up, Lovey Barkley says in between the lanes. Bumblebee Darlington with Suarez says Lovey Barkley. Ryan Sieg with a 4th place finish in a backup car. Come on forward, invest in his team. Says like dislike. Lovey, that was one incident in 2014, and he had his reasons. Sieg usually seems to pull a couple of early season strong runs that I hope is leading to his breakthrough. I'm with you, Charlotte. I hope Sieg has a good season. Like, he is one of the few like underdogs that has really built up a program. Like he's one of the last guys kind of that's like that's built up a program. Jordan Anderson would be another one, but a dude that just built up a program, sort of a mom and pop, like one of the last throwbacks to that. And the Xfinity series, I guess you can still do that. So that's awesome. So I always pull for Sieg. I always pull for the Jordan Anderson cars. Enjoy the race all. Have a good day, says FIA. Bowman does things too, says Lovey. So Lovey says Bowman's got a history too. So we'll have to, I'm not super familiar. I don't remember him doing anything. I just remember him getting run over. So I'll have to go back and research it and see. Arca West was good too. I wanted Trayton Lapsevich to win. Just a solid Phoenix weekend so far, says Avalon Band. I didn't see the Arca race, but hopefully it was good. I don't watch a whole lot of Arca. I'll just be honest with you. Great series. I hope everybody from there comes up, but just not one of the ones I tune into. I just can't deal with all the cautions and all the crazy stuff that goes on in there. Jeff Gordon ruined NASCAR, says Timber Race. I'm not saying Jeff Gordon ruined NASCAR, but it was definitely a change. It became more corporate from that point on. I think that's fair to say. He's still a clean driver, says B. No disrespect, says Lovey Barkley. 9 times out of 10, yes. So there you go. The Alex Bowman debate continues in there. Let me know down in the chat where you fall on the Alex Bowman debate. I'm just playing. Don't do that. In between the lanes, I got C-Bell with the 3-peat there. C-Bell would be a pretty good pick. That wouldn't be a bad pick at all. The Killer Bees so far this year off to a hot start. So at some point, Glock, he's not in here today, but Glock was talking in the Discord. He said, by the time the All-Star break is here, you're going to be tired of hearing about William Byron, and you're also going to be tired of hearing about Christopher Bell. And I agree with him. They're both off to such a good start that they are going to be the storyline for the first half of this season, I would bet. No doubt about it. So I do agree with him, and I wanted to give Glock a shout out here because he had a really good points in the Discord. Ty Gibbs qualified really poor. How long before not winning pressure starts to build, says Bruce Garvey. He'll be okay, I think, for a long period of time. It took Chase Elliott a long period of time to win, too. After Chase Elliott won, you've seen, he put it all together. I'm thinking a similar thing will probably happen with Ty Gibbs. If not, your worst case scenario with Ty Gibbs is he's like Austin Dillon, where you get a win every other year or so. Every 2 or 3 years, you get a win. So I don't think Ty Gibbs will ever be a terrible driver, but he's got a lot of upside. But I feel like even at his worst, he's still going to be a good, solid driver. I know a lot of people don't like Austin Dillon, but Austin Dillon is a good, solid driver when he finishes races. He had a little bit of a DNF problem the last 2 years, but when he cleans up the DNF deal, he's usually right there in the hunt to make the playoffs, a la Daniel Suarez, Eric Almirola, that type of driver. Let's see. Your one run what you brung analogy should hopefully bring down costs for teams, meaning more teams that can be competitive. Is NASCAR this smart? That's NASCAR's whole philosophy with this whole new deal. It's a kit car. They're trying to limit practices and all that stuff. And even with the stage breaks for the caution or the stage cautions for the stage ends or whatever, that takes out a lot of there will be a lot of man hours sort of figuring out how to go about a race. They've now taken out those man hours because they've basically shortened the race to the last stage. The race is the last stage. So they've taken out a lot of that strategy that you would put into that too. So NASCAR has done a lot of stuff to, in theory, lower the cost. Whether or not it ever works or anything like that we will see. Denny Hamlin says it doesn't work. But at the end of the day, that is probably their overall goal, is to save teams money by making everything short. Like, we're not here. They're not at the racetrack from, Thursday until, Sunday. They've done a lot of things to help cut costs from the team perspective. Vegas street race should be a thing, says Chris. I do think that there is a possibility. I don't know how soon it would ever happen, but I do think that there will one day possibly be a Vegas street race for NASCAR at some point. But I don't think it'll be any time in the future. But that's definitely a market that NASCAR would look into and would want to be in. So I do think it could happen one day. But they've already got the racetrack out there. But you could see it as one of those, like, we're going to Mexico this year. We went to wherever. Road America. We've been to Road America. So I could see Vegas getting on a list like that for sure. What is the latest twist in the lawsuit, says Like Dislike? The latest thing is going to be, well, NASCAR is countersued 2311, and then the other thing, and so that's a whole new case, and then or new lawsuit, and then they set a trial date for I forget what day it is. I want to say March 20th or something like May 20th. May 20th. Sorry, May 20th. I think sometime in May, maybe May 9th. Anyway, sometime in May, they've set the next date for if 2311 will be a charter team, because NASCAR is appealing that injunction. So that's the next move as far as the trial goes. I don't have the dates off the top of my head, but I know it's sometime in May. Let's see. Right back at you, Lovey, says Brickyard Brickhead. Enzo saying, in fantasy, do you go more for a final finish or a driver that can make a lot of stage points? I just go off average finish for the end of the race. That's the way I've been playing it. And then make sure you pick there's like bonus picks of what driver will finish in, like, head to heads, what driver will finish in front of them. Make sure you pick them, because I forgot to pick them one week and it cost me a bunch of points because I got 0 points on that one. Can't Pass says what? Suarez doesn't belong to be in Cup, says Can't Pass. I mean, he's won some races. He's made the playoffs. I don't know. He might not be your favorite driver, but he's fairly talented, in my opinion. Your opinion can surely differ from that, but it's all good. That's the fun of being a fan, for sure. That's Ty Rocket Randall Gibbs. BB says, in between lanes. So Ty Rocket Randall Gibbs. My apologies. I forgot his full name. Rocket Gibbs is in the house. Rocket Randall. Let's see. He crashes more than anyone, says Can't Pass. So a DNF rate, that's a fair thing to point out. for sure on a lot of drivers that have DNFs. But I think John Hunter Nemechek's got a ton of talent too. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has a ton of talent, but they both wreck a lot too. So it's all in how you judge it. If they could clean up the DNFs, they would be mega dangerous in my opinion. Brent Cruz won ARCA. The ARCA race Friday night, so good for him. Cars Tour man, Brent Cruz, or former Cars Tour man. I can't remember if he's still racing this year or not. I just don't see it with the charter system why any new owner would come into NASCAR when they know they get a smaller portion of the purses, says Bruce Garvey, and that could be a strategy too. NASCAR trying to get rid of the Carl Longs and people like that of the world. They don't want starting parks, so it is what it is. Let's see. Kyle Busch odds today says Shadowfire. I don't know. I feel like he's got a decent chance to win this race, but he didn't have a whole lot of speed in practice or qualifying. So I don't know if this is going to be his best opportunity. I will say that NASCAR's counter lawsuit is such BS, says Enzo. Yeah, it does feel like it's just to be petty and cause more financial distress on the lawsuit front. Let's freaking go, BB. Race day shenanigans, says Russell Dominguez. Indeed, BB. Did you watch the Duke Carolina game? I didn't get a chance to check it out last night, actually, so I did not check that one out. Morgan Freeman says negative squirrel. What happens to the money from penalties? I don't know. I guess it just goes back to NASCAR. I'll have to look into that. I don't know if they give it to a charity like the NFL does. I've never really paid attention to what NASCAR does with the penalty money. Penske needs a good day after last week. They'll probably have one today. This until somebody proves otherwise. This is Penske's home track because they own it. Let's see. Prime broadcast is controlled by Fox. Those graphics were terrible. Every driver that qualified had the wrong stats on screen, says Levy Barkley. Yeah, Fox has been off with their stats, putting faces on the wrong driver and stuff like that. The leaderboard at COTA was all over the place. I hope they get it together. I'm just going to be positive here. I believe if NASCAR loses, I like the Fox booth. The Fox booth to me has been fine. Some people don't like Clint Boyer. I get that, but the truck for the Fox broadcasts, they've got to tighten up, man. It's been not good, but I think I'm being positive. I hope they'll get it together. I think they will get it together. I believe NASCAR loses and do take charters away, you will see a lot of new teams try their hand in the Cup Series, and you will see the sport thrive, says Escobar. Yeah, it's gonna be a big transition. The next 10 years for NASCAR is gonna be a huge transition. It's gonna be interesting to see which direction it goes, one way or the other. BB, I learned this from Whose Line Is It Anyway? The points don't matter. That's right. Everything's made. All the lines are made up, and the points don't matter. I think was their catchphrase, if I remember correctly. Lovey Barkley said they said Bubba was third at Daytona and 17th at Atlanta, says Lovey Barkley. Butterbean led a good chunk of the race, says in between the lanes. And apparently, according to what I read, he left the lane open or something. I don't know. I'll have to go back and watch the highlights of it. NASCAR's countersuit may be petty, but let's be real. We did not hear last year that Curtis Polk was trying to make teams agree on a walkout. So NASCAR does have a point, says Escobar. Yeah, it's petty, but they feel like they have something that they can sue with. Otherwise, they wouldn't be wasting their money too. Because let's be honest, they're wasting their money too. But it's one of those things where it's what do they call it? When you try to bleed somebody dry through litigation. There's a term for it, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. But that could be something. But good luck draining all those people involved with Michael Jordan dry. So I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. First time watching the CW broadcast yesterday. Love the energy, says Enzo. CW has been doing a good job. They've had some good ratings. I assume this week's race will have good ratings like the other ones have had as well. Attending tracks from mid 50s with jalopy stalkers. Indy, the racing is as good as it ever was. We're always allowed innovation. If that stops, might be good, might be bad. Yeah. Brickyard, I'm with you. It could go either way. We don't know. That's what I said. The next 10 years is going to be a huge transition. We'll see. We'll see how it goes, which direction it falls. All fine money goes to charities, says Dave McSwain. So there you go. They have followed the NFL. I know the NFL does it. So followed the NFL's route, and NASCAR puts all the money to charities, according to David. Appreciate you there, David, picking me up there because I didn't know. I'd honestly never even thought about it until like literally right now. I think cheating is innovation, says Brickyard Brickhead. It's not cheating until you get caught. That's innovation. If they take the charters away, every team will sue NASCAR. Says like dislike. I agree. I don't think they could even take them away immediately because they have a charter agreement that extends through a certain period of time. So they would have to take them away after that. If they did it, if they took the charters away, that would be such a disaster. Like that would just that would be the poison. NASCAR would be poison pilling itself. And to what ends, I don't know what they would gain from doing that. So I don't think NASCAR might threaten it, but I don't think NASCAR would ever actually follow through and do it. In my opinion, I think Curtis Polk will be kicked out of the garage eventually. If and when NASCAR takes charters away, he will be the sole person all teams will blame, says Escobar. Yeah, and he might. There's always going to be one fall guy, one scapegoat. So maybe that would be how that plays out. But I don't think, me personally, I'm not saying it won't happen. I just don't like if I'm taking a guess at it, I don't think NASCAR would ever actually pull the charters away. But that's just my thoughts on it. BB, I did not watch, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers. Was the Xfinity race good? Says Lovey Barkley. Xfinity race was amazing. All the way throughout the race, it was a great race. So the whole thing's good. Definitely check it out. 100%. John Bradburn, what's up, my friend? Good to see you. Quattro, what's up, my man? Up early on the West Coast for Quattro. I appreciate you, my dude. 1 year, let's freaking go. Ready for Ross to smash a melon. Appreciate the re-up, my friend. As always, for sure. NASCAR doesn't lose. If they lose, watch. They will put charters. They will pull the charters to prove a point, says Escobar. Yeah. So, but that would be such a poison pill. But yeah, 100%. They could do that, and maybe if they get mad enough, they do that. But I think that would be such a poison pill that it would never cease to be a thing. NASCAR would always be a thing, but man, it would fall off a cliff. Kind of like at one point, IndyCar was bigger than NASCAR, right? And then IndyCar had its struggles. So if NASCAR poison pilled itself by pulling the charters away, I think NASCAR would take a similar spiral and become less relevant than it had been. I think somebody would be primed to take over NASCAR's spot in the racing world if that were to happen in North America. I think that would be safe to say if that happened. I just read that one. Nathan Campbell, what's up, my friend? Good to see you on here. All right, looks like we reached the end of it. Final results of the poll question: who's the Grand Marshal today? Says Lovey Barkley. Oh, I did know that, but then I forgot. I don't know. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. Hey, BB, have you seen the new super chat and super stickers button next to the chat box, plus a character counter? Says Sir Wood Rooster. I'm not aware of that, so I'll have to check that out. I didn't know that was a thing, so that's pretty cool for sure. No gray areas anymore, so bad for racing. Question mark, says David McSwain. For probably guys like me that have been around a long time, I see it as a bad thing, but I can't speak to a newer generation. Newer generation might like it. Like me, I'm so used to guys looking at a rule book and saying, "Hey, this says this, but it doesn't say exactly that. I've got some wiggle room here." I'm so used to that culture in racing that just having a kit car and you can't touch it and you just show up at the racetrack. I'm being, they obviously do things to tweak it, but I'm being, hyperbolic or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if that's the right word. But to me, that's just so different from what I'm used to. It's hard for me to say, man. Like, I personally think you should just have a set of rules that everybody goes by and you let them tweak on it. They build their own chassis, they build their own cars. But that's just what I grew up with. That's just what I'm so used to. I don't know. I don't know how the younger generation would view it. And then eventually it's going to be the younger generation sport. So at some point you do have to skew toward them. But me personally, I'm not a fan of it, but I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing long term for the future, if I'm being totally honest. So it's just great question. Great question. That's all I guess I can say about it. Awesome question, really. $1 million question. If you get it right, you've made a huge profit. You get it wrong, you have not. So NASCAR's rolled the dice there with that one. So we'll see how it plays out going forward. What team do you think will be the Dodgers team in 2028? Is it RFK? I don't know. I couldn't call. I have no clue. Will be the Dodgers team in 2028. I don't know, man. I don't know. RFK is pretty good, so it could be them. Uh, they've put some stuff in place to break out. Spire could be another one, like where they break out because I feel like they're right on the cusp. They've really gotten a lot better in 1 year. I don't know. It could be anybody, man. I don't have a crystal ball as far as 2028 goes. Nobody will start a counter series to a NASCAR. Most teams will stay, says Escobar. Yeah, I'm not even talking about a split. I'm just talking about like if a RCR or Rick Hendricks, some of these bigger names, if they pulled out, it would take a long time for NASCAR to recover those fans. Even if they just pulled out and never raced again, like like it would take a long time for NASCAR to sort of regain those fans, and those fans would go all kinds of different places. It wouldn't even have to be a separate series from NASCAR. Just other places would get a bump in that. You know who I think would actually really benefit from it the most if it happened, which I don't think it'll happen, but if it did happen, if NASCAR pulled the charters, probably dirt racing. Dirt racing would probably see a huge increase in fandom, and maybe drag racing. Those would probably be the two in North America that would benefit the most, and IndyCar too, because I feel like IndyCar is on the rise with the Fox deal. Those would be the three I think most fans would sort of gravitate toward if NASCAR took the charters away and something like that. Dropping lead shot out of the frame, says Bingo Winchester. Yeah, that was one they did. Negative Squirrel continuing with it's Morgan Freeman. What's up, Negative Squirrel? Negative Squirrel on the Morgan Freeman game today. Let's see. Host of our win number one today, says Waltrip Flair. It could be. This could be the weekend that it happens. He's got a lot of speed. You hit the nail on the head about building your own engines and chassis. Which top series does that? F1, says Escobar. Exactly. And it seems to have worked out well for them. So we'll see. Dislike the car, says David McSwain. I don't like a kit car either. I'm with you on that 100%. I want a solid rear axle. It just races better to me. We saw it. Look how good the Xfinity Series raced at Phoenix here. And I bet the Cup Series, I'm going to be surprised if they're passing and making moves like the Xfinity Series did. I'm not saying it won't happen, but I'll be surprised because previously we have not seen that with the Cup Series. If Honda comes, I think Spire goes to Honda, says Nathan Campbell. I think so too, 100%. Gina Allison saying, I like your hat today. Appreciate you, Gina. Rowdy Bush for the win, says Gina as well. I know that for a fact. Let's see. Gator Nationals tonight, says In Between the Lanes. Bruce Garvey. So much for Myles Garrett leaving the Browns. New contract cures all ill feelings, says Bruce Garvey. I like the sound of a Roush Hemi engine, says Sir Wood Rooster. That would be pretty crazy. Stranger things have happened. The Cars Tour would benefit. I agree. That's a good point too. Cars Tour for sure would benefit because you've already got a lot of Cup influence in there over there already. Fans don't want a cookie cutter car. They want differences, says Escobar. I agree with that 100%. But is my thinking, and I don't know your age, Escobar. I'm assuming you're at least as old as me. Does the younger generation think that way? That was sort of where I was going with that, because eventually it'll be their sport. So it just depends. It just depends on how far we are removed from fans that like the wiggle room. Oh, I got you. Negative Squirrel saying Morgan Freeman is the Grand Marshal. I appreciate you, my man. I had no clue. Where you were going with that. I was like, I appreciate you now. It makes sense now. Let's see. Cars Tour would 100% benefit from any sort of major NASCAR stumble, says Charlotte. I agree. That's a good point. I hadn't thought about that one off the top of my head, but yeah, great point. Cars Tour would definitely be one of them that got some of that fall off as well. Since Cadillac is officially going F1, how long before they're in NASCAR? I think they said 2026 is going to be F1. I don't think I ever see them coming to NASCAR. It's just a different market. They don't want to. And here's my rationale. I don't know if they will or will not come to NASCAR. I just don't think they will. My rationale on that is you don't want to see Cadillac getting beat by Ford and Dodge and Chevrolet cars that cost way less than a Cadillac would. So I don't think Cadillac would be interested in the NASCAR market unless Toyota switched to the Lexus in their series. It would have to be something like that, but that's just my thoughts on it. I don't think RFK to Dodge. Jack's best friend is one of the largest private stockholders in Ford. Says PC. Yeah, like there's certain teams that I would be almost 100% sure, but life is crazy. We never know. But 100%. Uh, I think as long as and Nathan Campbell just hit it on the head here. By that time, Jack will be gone. So here's my deal: as long as Jack Roush is around, RFK is going to be Ford. What happens after that is anybody's guess. But they make all the engines for Ford. So if anything, Ford is going to make sure they keep RFK over anybody. So I think regardless of what happens, probably Ford is going to find a way to keep RFK. RCR would be an interesting one, but I don't see RCR ever going from Chevrolet. Hendrick is locked in with Chevrolet. I don't think that'll ever change. It would have to be a team like a Penske, Spire. You could see them because they would get tier one equipment. Trackhouse, they would get tier one equipment. I could see 2311 breaking from Toyota and getting tier one equipment and going that way. Legacy, uh, they would probably take a risk and gamble on it depending on who went as well. So there's teams out there, but they would have to have the financial means to have an engine program, and that's going to be the big thing for sure. Uh, NASCAR dropping charters and lowering team costs. This could bring in primo grassroots drivers to regional races. 100%. It could definitely do that. Cookie cutter cars equal IROC, says Bingo Winchester. Yeah, there you go. And I liked IROC. So there you go. The duality of man. I liked one version of it. I just didn't want it in NASCAR. Bingo Winchester C for IROC. Cookie cutter cars worked because it was a different type of series. For IROC to try and make it fair for all drivers, it needed a cookie cutter car. Could you see Rick Ware? I mean, if Rick Ware got a sweet enough deal, I could see Rick Ware and the 47 team, Hayek. I could see both of them switching if they got the right deal. But I don't think they would be any. I'm not seeing them being Dodge's first pick or anything like that. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I would see that playing out if it happened. I would like to point out. So all right, looks like we hit the end of it here. Final results of the poll question: Byron 44% over Blaney at 38%. A little bit of a I'm surprised by that. I thought Blaney was going to run away with this thing early on, but Byron over Blaney 44 to 38. 10% for Chris Buescher and 8% for Ross Chastain, the Melon Man. All right, that's it for this one. I'll catch you after the race. Enjoy your Sunday. Hope driver wins. Peace.